So I will get started. We're just after 1 o'clock if you're watching this live. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us. And if you're watching this back, we're going to run this for around about 45 minutes today. And I am absolutely honoured and delighted to be joined by these wonderful faces that you see before you. I've got to give a huge thanks before I start to our relationship manager at Agents Together, Sam Offley. He has done a sterling job putting this together. He'd spoken to a few mentors and they'd said, it'd be great to hear from other mentors how it's going, where I might get some tips and ideas to improve my approach. So that's why it's come about, and Sam's organised this project start to finish. So thank you, Sam. I know he's listening somewhere in there. I wondered, first of all, before we sort of crack on, perhaps we can just whiz round the room and you can all give a brief introduction of who you are, please, if that would be okay. So if I shout your name and then you guys can just let me know. So I'm no particular order. Mike Day, you're top left in my screen, so you're first.
Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody. As Sarah says, Mike Day, 45 years in the industry, started when I was 3, fellow of RICS, NAA and ALA. Been around the block, have a business called Integra Property Services, which provides training, business consultancy, whatever, with around about 850 estate agency clients. I'm also a director at Techlet, the prop tech platform that's just being acquired by On the Market. And as Sarah said, I'm a founder member of Agents Together. So we're just about coming up to a year operating, and it's great to work with so many good people.
Thank you very much, Mike. Wonderful. And yeah, I know how passionately you care about Agents Together as well. So it's been great to go on this journey with you. Excellent. Gareth Overton.
Hello, I'm Gareth Overton. I'm head of sales at Henry Adams down in sunny West Sussex. I'm also an equity partner in the business. I've been an estate agent for 22 years now. I spent 10 years working for a few different corporate organisations, and I've spent the last 12 years in 2 senior management positions, one in a corporate business, now in an independent business.
Superb. I know an excellent business it is too.
Thank you very much.
Coming down there to visit you as well. So that's great. Thank you, Gareth, and great to have you involved. Margaret.
Hi, first of all, Sarah, thanks for inviting me today, and Sam, to be part of this amazing panel. So yeah, I'm Margaret Longden. I fell into property actually by accident, really. Mike Day will be aware of a bit of this background. So I worked with David Livesey and the senior team in 2004 to buy Sequence, then stayed on afterwards to run the lettings business. So I was the first ever female MD at the Connells Group, which was an amazing experience, as you can imagine. Very exciting. I'm really proud of that, those 7 years. Then left to go to Countrywide to work with the incredible John Hards to run the lettings business there. The business ended up growing to 45 million with 160 offices, so huge business. But for the past 3 years since leaving Countrywide, I've been doing interim director roles and become trained as NLP practitioner and leadership coach. Now the commercial director of Legal for Landlords, which quite a few of you I'm sure will have heard of. So doing reference checks, combining best of brand tech really with customer service, legal services and arranging insurance products. So working with the amazing team and Sim, the managing director there, to double our agent partnerships to 1,000 in the next 12 months. So yeah,
wow,
a bit about me.
Wow. Well, you are very, very busy. And I know you've got a particular interest as well. You've done a lot of work in the well-being space as well. Margaret, yeah. We've spoke about that a lot. So we're absolutely delighted to have your experience on board here today. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Wendy, you're up next.
Hi, I'm Wendy Peterman. I've been running the family business for the last 20 years together with my cousin Howard Peterman. We're an independent family business. Prior to that, my background was advertising. So I've got kind of quite useful tips and hints on brand building and kind of that side of the business, whether it works for pretty much any business. Don't ask me too much about social media though, I might not be that good on that. Yeah, but basically, here I am. I'm thrilled to have been asked onto the panel. Thank you very much. Helping people is something that I feel very strongly about. I've run marathons to raise money for certain charities. And I really look forward to helping people. So thanks for having me on.
Fantastic. Thank you, Wendy. And by the way, social media changes all the time, so it's okay.
Oh,
It's very difficult to stay on top of.
I'll try and keep up.
Great stuff. Stephen, you're up next.
Hi, and thank you, Sarah, for inviting me. Good to see you all. I'm Stephen Hayter. Unlike Mike Day, I started when I was 16, but I've been in the business now for 50 years this year, in the property business. I started straight from school as an estate agent. More recently, people will know me for the last 20 years of being a founder of My Home Move, the country's largest conveyancer. So I've had a good look at the property business from both sides of the fence, which is always interesting. But as an estate agent and throughout my estate agency, I was always involved in training and coaching, and mentoring sort of follows on from that. So it's always been there as a thread through what I've done. And like a number of you have said in various different guises, I think we've all probably benefited from our business, and we've done well out of our business, and it's quite nice to give something back. So that's why I'm involved.
Lovely. Thank you, Stephen. We're really, really pleased to have you involved. Excellent. Michael Poole.
Good afternoon, and again, repeat. Thanks for having us on this show. I feel like a youngie now. I've only been in for 40 years, but it probably feels a bit longer than that. But I've been in the business about 40 years now. Worked for various independents and corporates. Got bought out in the heydays and set up on my own in 1994. So I've got 9 offices on Teesside. We've got 50 staff. We're a partnership. 2 of my sons are in the business, so that's my get out clause in the future. It remains a dictatorship until I do retire, but life's good in sunny Middlesbrough at the moment. But again, repeat, this is a great exercise, a great opportunity for people to be involved, and mentoring is, in terms of our business, for which you can't issue any form of manual to people, is a great way of bouncing off ideas and guidance. So I really enjoyed being on board, and glad to be on board.
Brilliant. We're so pleased to have you, and you're quite right. You know, we'll come on to this. The whole idea of, you know, is there a manual? You know, this is how to do it. Possibly, there's plenty. You know, myself and Mike, and a few others with training businesses. But in a nutshell, really, you know, it's making sure that you've got somebody beyond your little bubble, I think, that you can talk to, share. Wise words and inspiration is something that we talk about all the time. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Mike. And absolutely, last but definitely not least, Murray Lee, please introduce yourself.
Well, they say save the best till last. I'm not sure that's the case here. There's 6 or 7 faces on here that have as much experience as I do. I thought I was the oldest, but Stephen pips me. I've got 48 years in the business. I always used to say I was the oldest swinger in town, but maybe not such a good idea. And I certainly wouldn't belong to a club that ever had me. But this case, I make an exception. I think it's a great idea. I saw it when you first promoted it a year ago, when Boomin were beginning to raise above their heads above the parapet. And I thought I'd like to give a bit back as well. And I have started doing it. And I have to say I'm getting a lot of pleasure out of the one-to-one with the lady that I've contacted with. And I think it's okay to say their name. Her name is Jennifer Hartburn of Harrington. Forgot the other part. She's up in Middlesbrough, up your part of the world. I think she's up north of England. And what comes back to me and what I like from it is the passion that I give her gives her more power to go on and move forward. And she said to me, without me, I think she might have even stopped at day one. So in here, in the heart where I'm pointing that you can't see, a lot of pleasure out of that. And I think we're doing a great thing for the industry.
Thank you, Murray. And you're quite right. I am in a privileged position where I get to read all of the feedback that is collected from everybody. And I should say at this juncture, we have got 186 mentors now who have volunteered their time. There are people giving 6, 7, 8 hours a month, and others doing 2 hours a month. There is no, and we're grateful for all of them, every single person. And there's 285 mentorships going on out there at the moment. So this is phenomenal what we've achieved in a year, and it is thanks to all of you and everybody that is on here as an attendee today as well. And you're right, Marie, it's as much as a reward in terms of feedback for the mentor as it is for the mentee. I hear
Absolutely.
that time and time again. I have a mentor and I have a mentee, so I'm like right in the middle. I've gone for both. Nothing like, you know, test case scenario, and it's absolutely. I feel exactly the same as you all have said there. So brilliant to hear. Okay, well, without further ado, I'm going to get cracking. I've got some questions to get through. Some of them were submitted by people who were interested in us running this, and others are ones that we know are sort of frequently asked questions, and certainly that Sam, who speaks to you all on a regular basis, knows are frequently asked questions. But we should also remember, and I'll open with this, 70% of people have said if they have a mentor, they're more likely to stay and develop in a job role that they've got, because they feel that they are going places, even if that mentor is not attached to their business, but is outside, but they actually have got this purpose. They're not floundering. And I think that's a huge statistic to bear in mind, because actually, you know, it's an industry that retention can be difficult, and there's lots moving about with self-employed models and various other things at the moment. So actually being able to utilize Agents Together as a mentorship scheme is so valuable for everybody, business owners and the actual employees, everybody in between. So let's start with this. One of the biggest things that sometimes get confused, and some of you have mentioned it, is that, you know, is mentoring training? You know, is there a gray area here? And I can be really clear about it, probably because I do training, but I do mentoring, and it's very clear differential for me. But I think maybe I'll ask. I'm gonna ask you, Gareth, first of all, if I may. What do you think? Is there a fundamental difference?
Yeah, I do. I think it's very, very different. For me, mentoring is about more like coaching. The tricky part with this side of things is you've got to understand your kind of responsibility as a mentor, but with somebody that you really don't know very well. Often you'll employ somebody and you become a mentor over a period of time, and you kind of latch onto them or they latch onto you. It's very much a joint learning experience for me as well. So I'd very much echo what you said earlier on, Sarah. I've learned loads from the two people that I'm a mentor for. And for me, it's about working on their characteristics and getting to know them, and then using that to help them in the future. And also trying to get them to come up with the solutions, rather than training can sometimes be very much deliver a sermon and, you know, do that and everything will be good, but it's about getting them to come to get the answer themselves, really. I
think that, yeah, absolutely right. We use this phrase all the time, because we were trying to define mentoring at one point when we were putting all this together, and I said it just before, that idea of it's your mentor gives you wise words and inspiration. They tell you how to think, not what to think, is another way of describing it. Mike Day, I know I'm probably opening a can of worms here, because you and I have spoken about this 1,000 times, and you know, it's difficult for us because we have training businesses, but we also want to make sure we give back in a mentoring capacity. So we've often talked about, is there a conflict, etc. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I think the clue is actually in the name mentor. And Stephen will remember this, because the name actually comes from the ancient Greeks. And it was in Homer's poem, The Odyssey, and Odysseus employed somebody called Mentor to look after his son. And a mentor was a guide, a teacher, and a friend. And that definition is really, in my view, where mentor comes in. And so the difference really between, as far as I'm concerned, between mentoring and training, as Gareth said, often short-term, subject-specific, not necessarily personal to the individual. It might be, you know, teaching some sort of particular thing. Whereas mentoring is far more about guiding, far more personal, showing people, giving people a pathway to do things, but hand-holding them to the extent of pointing them or guiding them in the right direction. But they have to, as you said, make their own decisions and whatever. So it's a sounding board. It's a combination of a guide, a teacher, and a friend.
Perfect. Okay. And I'm just jumping around here, so sorry. If you've got something you really, really desperately want to say on this, please do just raise your hand. But Margaret, I'll come to you.
Glad you said that before all of the ideas were used up then. Thanks, Sarah. I think for me, the biggest difference is that training is very much more performance driven and outcome driven. So if you train somebody, it'd be very specific around a certain topic or around KPIs. Whereas for me, what we do as a mentor, it's much more holistic. And, you know, I'm really passionate about mental health and wellbeing, Sarah, as you know, and I think all of those things get pulled into mentoring, and it's much more development driven than outcome and performance driven. So for me, that's the biggest difference. And it's not as time specific either. I think Mike's just said that, you know, that you can actually mentor somebody for years, and the reason you're mentoring them will change over time. Whereas when you're training somebody, there's a module, and once it's delivered, you can measure the outcome and so on. So yeah, it's very different. It's much more holistic. I think it's probably much more satisfying as well, because I think when you're delivering a package of training, it's very, it becomes quite commoditized at times. And I think when you're mentoring, it's completely different. You actually see people grow in confidence and blossom within as a mentee. So I think that's a huge difference to me. Yeah, great. And you know, there's a place for both, isn't Absolutely,
there? You know,
a place for both. And I think what you learn as a mentor, as a mentee, people that I mentor will take those skills actually into their leadership roles and become better trainers and better coaches within the roles, because they learn to be much more holistic about their approach to managing their teams. Which I think is one of the great, the most enjoyable things about doing this role.
Brilliant. Thank you, Margaret. Murray, I saw you pop your hand up there.
I don't think you can train someone to be an estate agent. It's in your blood, personally. It will come out when you are a salesman, as I was when I started at 17 years old. I think Gareth had it right as well. You get the feedback from the person that you're mentoring, and that pushes them on further to do things. They're already estate agents. They don't need to be trained. They need to be supported. And that's what I find from being with Jennifer as well. She feels so much better at the end of one of our sessions and more empowered to move forward. So I think that having us here in the background, and if anybody wants to call any of us, we're prepared to impart our wisdom and our training. But I think it's the fact that we're prepared to hold their hands and to support them from behind. But Gareth had it right. Let them take it on themselves from there. I let her tell me what she's got in mind, and then I guide her to what I think is the best options from there. I don't think you can ever train someone to be an estate agent. They either are or they're not.
There's certainly a specific set of skills that it involves, yeah, well, the jury might be out on the ability to train, but I would totally agree with you with regards to the skill sets required. Absolutely, for sure. Stephen, did I see you pop your hand up there?
You did, Sarah. I've thoroughly enjoyed working with my two mentees, and in both cases they've been small business owners. And what you can tell is that they really need someone to talk to. Someone who can just listen to.
Oh, you've frozen a bit there, Stephen.
Yeah, sorry.
He's back.
Of all things, I took a phone call. I didn't take a phone call, the call came through. So sorry. So in both cases, small business owners, and frankly, they got no one else to talk to. And just to talk through a few things, I think has proven to be very valuable to them. Now, along the way, they do understand that perhaps I have been around the block a few times, so I do have a few ideas. I can suggest a few things, but I'll make it very clear they don't have to do anything that I say or suggest. It's entirely up to them. But I can throw things out and allow them to talk to me about various things, knowing that I will listen, I'll make suggestions. They don't have to adopt it. They can do as they please, but they can have a chat about it in a month's time and say, look, I did try it, thank you very much, or I didn't try that, and this is the reason why. And that's fine, but at least they've had the opportunity to think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Stephen. And Wendy, I saw your hand as well. We're going to get answers from everyone on every question, aren't we? I knew this would happen. How brilliant.
I am lucky enough to have a fantastic mentor myself, who, even in the short time that I've been talking to him, and Gareth and Stephen, sorry, it's kind of what you said, as a small business owner, it's amazing to have somebody to bounce ideas off. And I think as a business owner, there's so many different roles that you have to play and so many hats that you have to wear that sometimes you lose focus. So to have someone that kind of keeps you focused and dealing with certain things in a certain order, and just someone in the business, that was kind of the part of this that I think is really important, is like, whether you're a mentor or mentee, the fact of having someone that understands the problems, that's kind of been through it, whatever those problems are, that is an estate agent. You know, you can find people to talk to in other businesses and certainly get plenty out of it. But for me, I found it really, really helpful that I know that my mentor understands what I'm saying. I've learned loads from him, and what I've learned from him, I'm now giving back to my mentees and learning from them as well. I mean, the amazing thing is what you get back from the people that you're helping. You know, I did it because I really want to help other people, but what I didn't realize was how much I, one, would really enjoy it and how much benefit I would get from it myself. But I think what we're all saying is, you know, no one tells you what to do. You can just give your own opinion, use your own experience. We're all very experienced and have had lots of different things happen over the years that we can help people, you know, kind of pursue and improve their own careers and find a good way forwards.
Sarah, can I be a bit controversial and actually say I've never been an estate agent, but I don't think that would stop me mentoring an estate agent. For me, actually being a mentor is having those skills. You could actually mentor anybody in any industry. I don't think it has to be industry specific, and it's about actually giving those individuals the confidence to be able to make decisions and to take actions and to make plans and move forward irrespective of what industry they're in. So I mentor people in lots of different industries, and I don't think you have to be an estate agent to be able to mentor an estate agent. So sorry, Marie, if that's controversial, but I do have to, you'll get to know me, I'm very direct, aren't I, Sarah? So I have to say what I'm thinking.
I'm learning from Margaret.
A woman from the north.
Yeah, absolutely. A loud northerner.
This is really, you know, this is really important, and it's really, and I think what we're getting to here, which is a key message, is that you know, there can be mentors from all backgrounds, and actually certain people will benefit from a certain mentor in a certain style, and other people will benefit from another mentor in another style. Absolutely agree with that, and I've seen success across the board with that. I will say the majority of our mentors at Agents Together are within the industry, around about, I think we're at 92%, but we do have 8% of that, what did I say, 186, that are actually outside of the industry, who were people who just found out what we were doing. They were really keen to help. They had some connection to the industry, usually a partner or a family member who had been part of it, or perhaps historically. But it's really important. I think the other thing that I should tell you is, when we were sort of developing this idea of the mentorship scheme, I had not given any thought to it, but on one of my final trips up from London before COVID, I was on the train and I was sat next to someone who worked at NatWest, and they have got a reverse mentorship scheme. So the senior board are mentored by the newest recruits, so that the board stay relevant to their actual to their customer base, because these people are closest. And that kind of sparked something for me. And then obviously Agents Together was born, and off we went. But in an ideal world, we would have these long chains of mentors all around the country for the Agents Together. Like Wendy's just said, she's got a mentor, but she's also a mentor. And I'm the same. So it's a great approach. And I think we can really all learn from each other so much, which is a key message here. Brilliant. We're getting some fantastic comments in here. So I'm just going to quickly take a pause and have a look through. Andrew Rome, your story regarding your son, I'll leave that for later. Very interesting though. We've also got Andrew's sort of said, Andrew thinks that you can take people from all backgrounds and turn them into very good estate agents.
Can I come back at that?
I agree.
I wasn't saying that you couldn't, but I think it's in the blood. I don't dispute for one moment. And I've trained and had lots of juniors with me, and I've had lots of people who've gone on to open up their own businesses. David Mintz, who you all very well know, used to work for me. Philip Wise at Ashmore's. They're all successful because of what they've learned from with me, but they had something inside of them straight away. Now, if they come from another background, be it a carpenter, a decorator, and you see that inside of them, you can draw that out. But I don't think you can teach someone to be an estate agent. That's my point.
I think I get the point. It's the skill and the attitude. Attitude. It's the attitude and the characteristics. We're going to come on to characteristics in a minute. Brilliant. I will keep going, otherwise we are going to be here till 5 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody wants that. Guy Charison has said, Mike says a mentor is a guide, teacher and a friend, and he totally agrees. And I think Mike, you've not said that before, Mike, to me. We meet every week and I've never heard you say those words. I
don't tell you everything, Sarah, but let's not share that here.
Yeah, I found it on Google last night.
When I was looking up the ancient Greeks.
Absolutely. And I think it's fantastic, and we may well use that on our new website, Mike, but I think you're absolutely right. It's a guide, teacher and a friend, and obviously everyone's agreeing with you there. And Anthony Gibson has said as well, he agrees with Margaret. He's able to answer technical or industry specific questions because he's been an agent, but 90% of it is that it is the person. And look, it's a total variety. And one of the beauties of what we do at Agents Together is, and specifically Sam, is that, we take those application forms and we read, both Sam and I read every single one, and then we work through how to match that, who's going to be the best person. In some cases, it'd be somebody in the industry, in some cases, perhaps not. So that's brilliant. Okay, I'm going to keep moving. Thinking practically now. And I'm not going to be able to hear from you all because we will be here forever, but I'll pick some of you. Sorry, sounds terribly ungrateful. What characteristics make a good mentor? So if we've got any people on here thinking, oh, I'm not sure if I could be a mentor, what characteristics do you think you need to have to be a mentor? Choose one. Go, Mary.
Prepare to listen.
Okay.
To hear what they've got to say and to give them back some encouragement based on what they're looking for. Not all the mentees are looking for the same thing, that's for sure. The lady I'm mentoring has started almost from scratch, and I've done that myself 4, 5, 6 times, I think, in my career, maybe. So that's something not everybody else has got. And like Wendy, perhaps in a small independent company, I don't know the background of all the others, and that's something that she's looking for. So that's a bit specialized. I don't know if you're getting many coming in from the corporates looking for mentoring, and I'm not sure who else are the people that are coming to you for mentoring. But from my point of view, I think it's having to listen to what they want you to do for them, and then giving them feedback from that.
Absolutely. I think, and John King has just supported you in that. Number one, listening. Absolutely. Just the ability to listen. And sort of almost ahead of that, what I've learned, because it's my first time being a mentor, is asking the right questions that draw out.
I have to say, and Wendy can't repeat this, my wife says I'm a terrible listener. I never hear what she wants to say.
It's different when you're at home, Marie. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. Totally different, don't we? Sorry, Gareth, did you have something to say? You were nodding.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on the question. It's like interviewing somebody. You ask a question and then you probe a bit deeper. And what I've found in my experience, certainly with one of the people that I'm mentoring, is that the actual issue came out after 6 or 7 different questions, and then it all came to the surface, and we kind of had a very long and elaborate conversation on something that we weren't planning on talking about, but there was clearly something in the background that was frustrating them. But by asking those really great questions and keep continuing to probe on them, I just felt like I got to the real issue, rather than what do you want to work on today, the boring sort of mundane stuff. So I think it's really important to, I think also a really good characteristic of somebody doing this type of job is having really good emotional intelligence and understanding sort of what makes people tick, and when you can push a little bit harder and when you need to back away as well. That's really, really key for me.
Great.
Yeah. I won't name my mentee, but we actually we had a 2-hour session booked last week, and we actually ended up spending an hour on something that was a little bit more sensitive, to be honest. And actually we just did that, and we left the other stuff. We left some of the goal-orientated career stuff, and actually we just focused on, okay, let's just focus on this one thing where they weren't feeling quite right. And that was vital, really, for me. Is the message. That's why we can't be prescriptive, can we? You've got to ask the right questions, and if that takes you off track because the mentee isn't feeling right, then that's okay. Sometimes. Wendy, you had something to add.
I was going to say something similar, which is kind of you do think you start with something and then you go off here and there, and that is the beauty of it. It's not, you don't start with an agenda, you don't send anything out beforehand. You just, on the day of whenever you meet, you just talk about what you think you want to get out of it, and what's important to them, because I think that you just need to, and we've all said the same thing in different ways. It's actually understanding them emotionally as well as, career or what they want out of their career. It's actually, it does you end up being their friend, and that's the most important part. I think.
Agree with that.
They can say anything to you because you don't know anyone within their world. You could just talk openly and freely. And I think, you have to be able to listen, but they must, that they can feel comfortable enough to say whatever they want to say.
That's brilliant. I've just had Christopher Scott in the chat has just said, being approachable is very important as well. His mentee called him last week, had been offered a job by a competitor, and he wanted Chris's advice, and Chris said he felt really honoured that he was able to call for the opinion. He didn't tell him what to do, but just offered some guidance, and I think there's no motive behind it. It's just simply having that person to bounce those ideas off. And I remember when I was a negotiator up here in a fantastic 4-branch independent, my bosses were amazing, my colleagues were fabulous, I loved them all. We had a great culture, but I would have loved to have somebody outside of the business to talk to and just say, these are my career aspirations, this is what I might like to do, or help. I've not converted as high as I would have liked to this month, but why am I not doing all right? All of those conversations that you could just have. So yeah, brilliant. There's so much for everybody to say. Clear your diaries, everybody who's watching. We're going to be here a while.
I think a biggie, Sarah, is a good mentor will be, and this leads on from what Wendy said about becoming somebody's friend, is that willingness to actually share your own failures and personal experiences, because actually it's not just about, I was an amazing MD at Connell's, David Livesey, but also actually this is what I would have done slightly differently. And actually to talk people through things that you didn't do so well as the ones that you did well. I think because both experiences are just equally valuable to a mentee.
That's fantastic. Stephen, I'll come to you in one moment. I just want to pick up quickly on what Margaret said. Sam Offley and I are doing some work around toxic positivity, because there's so much about you should be this, aren't I brilliant, this is fantastic. And that's great, by the way. I am a really positive person and I support positivity, but you've got to be careful, because all of us on this call and every single one of us will have made a mistake, done something we regret, done something wrong, except maybe Mike Day. I know that. But in a nutshell, we have, and that's okay. We're still here. We're still here to tell the story, and we're still doing great jobs, all of us in our own ways. So yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to say that. Stephen, yes, please.
Thank you. I make it very clear at the outset, as far as I'm concerned, the conversations are entirely private and confidential. And will not share anything with anyone unless they want me to. And I think you have to build that degree of trust, because then over time, and as you say, Margaret, then when you start to question, eventually, sometimes the reason for their concern comes out, but it takes them a while to get there. Going to Guy Charrison, who's written a note on the chat, I always follow through with a minute of our conversation as well. So that, one, I want to make sure that I understand their concerns properly. And if I'm wrong, then they can tell me that I'm wrong. And then also, if I do give them anything to make suggestions that they might want to follow through, then I can pick that up the following month and we can work through it again together. So that's how I go about it anyway.
Absolutely. And I think this kind of brings us on. As with all these things, we had a specific set of questions that were all in a wonderfully curated order, and we're jumping around, but hey, nobody knows or minds, I'm sure. It leads us on to accountability, doesn't it? Actually, because one of the biggest things with mentoring is, yes, there is that, as Wendy described it, that sort of you become their friend, and that's absolutely important. But I suppose if everybody's giving, let's call it 2 hours a month for argument's sake, to each other, both the mentor and mentee are committing this time, you want to have that sense of achievement one way or another. Many people will do. Sometimes you will just go off piste and decide that you're just going to have a lovely chat because you've both had a bit of a difficult time or whatever. But actually, there's also that often people come to get a mentor because they want to develop, they want to grow, they want to become a better version of themselves. So Mike Poole, I'm going to put you on the spot now. What do you think about accountability in mentoring? Is there a way that you approach ensuring that everybody is accountable to those sessions?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, that the way I look at it now, I've got two mentees that I'm helping, both complete opposites, both want different, or both got different aims and objectives. We have regular meetings, but this is open-ended from my point of view. This will go on for as long as it needs to go on to. And what maybe one object to start off with, whether it be to gain new instructions or whatever, can lead to other things. And I think from my point of view, the door is always open. I don't think there's an end product here. I don't think there's an end game for anybody. I think it's basically, you can help with one subject, but something may well come on the back of that, and that will continue. And I think in terms of accountability, it's as a mentor, all I can hope to do is deliver what the mentee wants and add a few bells and whistles onto it and give them further areas for thought and progression, basically. But from my point of view, it goes on for as long as it needs to.
Okay. And if that's brilliant, thank you, Mike. If you're a new mentor, not done it before, maybe slightly inexperienced, and I know you're all now been mentors previous, but often, you've all been mentors with agents together for quite some time now. What questions do you ask to establish those goals, those sort of outcomes, expectations? What sort of questions could people be asking on that initial call, maybe?
I think it's really important, Sarah, that you are quite self-aware and quite open to feedback, and that on a regular basis you are reflecting and evaluating with your mentee. So to be asking, well, how's it going for you? What's been helpful? What hasn't been helpful? What could I do differently as your mentor to add more value to this experience?
Yeah.
And though it might feel a bit awkward, with those conversations, I think that's going to make sure that the relationship remains productive and that you're actually adding value to being a mentor. Otherwise, it just becomes a bit of we'll have a chat once a month and then we'll tick the box and send out a list of actions. And I think you've got to be making sure that you're reflecting and making sure that you're adding value to the relationship. So to ask those really important questions.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think there's some brilliant points there. Sorry, Wendy, then Mike. Sorry, that was kind of the order. Wendy?
I usually check in. I'll do my kind of after a meeting. I will send a note covering what we've said.
Yeah.
But then I kind of intermittently I'll email them and just see how they're doing, check in with them, check if they need to meet sooner than whenever we had agreed. One of my mentees, they both got my phone number, and they kind of phone, and I've said to them, just phone me whenever you want. One does, one doesn't. It's fine. But I think part of it is just, if you're only seeing each other once a month or once every 2 weeks, is just keeping the ball rolling so that they know there's still someone there for them.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And in this day and age, we're just simply not confined to email and phone, are we? We've got WhatsApp, Messenger, you name it, Slack, all kinds. And myself and my mentee, we WhatsApp all the time, and I must drive her mad because I send her stuff. She tells me, oh, I'm interested in this, and she's getting book recommendations and all kinds. So I probably cause her headaches more than anything else. Mike, what did you have?
Yeah, I was just going to, I agree with what's been said. One of the things that we worked very hard on at Agents Together initially was the sort of questionnaire that a mentee completes when they request a mentorship. And I'm not saying it can't be improved and we need to keep it under evaluation, but they do set out what the reasons why they're looking for a mentor and what their objectives are, etc. And I would certainly, the first conversation I would have with a mentee would effectively go back over, obviously, what they've said to ascertain, to make sure we're singing from this, we're not ploughing different furrows. And that sets the scene a little bit. In regards to accountability, I've done a number of what I would call one-off, our quick mentorships where we've had maybe a half an hour or an hour or whatever. And then many of them, of course, have gone on to become perhaps 6-monthly mentorships. I always plan the diary over the 6 months with them. Now, this is my personal way of doing it, partly because I need to control my own diary, but I actually agree the days, times over the 6-month period ahead when we're going to meet, so that we don't end up with this, oh, we need a meeting and then we can't synchronize diaries. It creates more accountability for me, for them, because they're expecting it, and therefore they've got to be, if you like, ready for that meeting. Don't often follow up with notes of the meeting as such, but always look for them to set the agenda for the next meeting. So they would normally, let me have some sort of note as to what it was. And of course, we'd start the meeting with whatever sort of follow up from what we'd discussed before, what had they done, what hadn't worked or whatever. And I think there's a difference sometimes. We're dealing with a wide range of people here. We might be dealing with a negotiator who's employed by somebody. We might be dealing with a business owner. And of course, there's a difference. And one of the things I always check is if they're an employee, is whether their employer is aware that they are being mentored through Agents Together. And it's quite interesting because sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. I would always encourage the fact that the employer knows, because I think you can bring the employer in and put a little bit of sort of added sort of accountability into the process by getting the mentee talking about it with their own boss or hierarchy or whatever, to reinforce a few things. So that seems to work quite well, but that's, obviously every situation is slightly different.
It's really interesting you should say that, Mike. And actually Sam recalled a story where someone had suggested they'd signed up to be a mentee and they were proud of that fact and they were really keen to develop and improve themselves, but they were scared of telling their boss because they thought that it might look like a sign of weakness. And I mean, in a way, what I hope we've done at Agents Together is break that down, because we have got some very senior people in this industry being mentored. Yeah, and we've got some very junior people and everybody in between. So this mentoring isn't just for newbies or inexperienced people or people who feel like they may have lost their way. It is for everybody who is interested in learning beyond their own self, beyond their own current way of thinking. So absolutely important, Mike, to see if you can get the employer involved, if they're, of course, they're comfortable with that. Sorry, Mike, again.
Yeah, if I could just quickly come back on that. A lad that I'm mentoring at the moment is an employee of a firm, and he didn't feel he was getting any feedback from within his own company, which, you know, and now obviously I'm not able to give him feedback on what he's doing day to day in terms of his performance or whatever, because I don't know. But what I did manage to achieve with him fairly early on was the confidence for him to go to his employers and talk about the fact that he wanted feedback. And they've now got a structure in place of meeting, so he is getting that feedback. And that in itself is helping him develop his confidence and, I'm sure, his performance.
Yeah, fantastic. Just got a couple of comments here. David Sullivan has said, you know, that ability to have two-way feedback, reciprocal feedback is so important. And absolutely, obviously, Sam takes feedback from mentor and mentee to ensure that everything is going in the right direction. But I think it was Margaret and Wendy, and perhaps all of you probably feel the same, that self-awareness and the ability to reflect on your own performance as a mentor, that's okay. And also remember that in a way, we're a community of mentors. So if you need to speak to another mentor to check yourself, if you're having some doubts, and we do it. I had a conversation about imposter syndrome only this morning. I seem to talk about it every day. You know, it's okay. That there's all these wonderful people on this call, and some who would be willing to, if you're a mentor watching this, would be willing to give you, you know, half an hour, 15 minutes at a time, just if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by mentoring. Anthony Gibson has said a great question here. To get the ball rolling when you literally start with your mentor, really simple, keeping it simple. What do you want the outcome to be from this process? Just ask the question. And I think what a great place to start. Because it shows you how your mentee is thinking, where they're at with it all, why, you know, and Mike was right. I totally agree with Mike. Going back over that initial form that they filled in, getting them to talk you through it is a really great approach to that initial call. Murray, you had something to add.
It's a little bit off subject, but it's the global picture. I think what we've done here is amazing. When I started X amount of hundreds of years ago, 2 doors away from where Peterman's are now, there was nothing like this available at all. And I think the world has changed since last March, and the fact that estate agents and mentors and people have all come together like this is an amazing process, because it wasn't out there before. And to have this option, and I think we need to spread the word wider as best you can. You're doing a grand job. But if I don't know what I would have made of it back in 1980, whatever it would have been. But to be a young negotiator today, or a new business owner today, it's fantastic to have this opportunity to lean on all these bald, wise heads, not including the ladies, and get all the information that we've got inside here out. And it's such a pleasure, and Gareth and I have said this already, to be able to give it and get the feeling back from the other side. Because I know when the person who I'm mentoring finishes the call, she said, "You've empowered me again today." Well, I never had that. I've done it all on my own. I'm not looking for plaudits here, but to have that opportunity today, we need to make sure more people know about it.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah, absolutely.
That's right, Marie. And this is why we started it, so people didn't feel alone, so that we could connect the dots, because we knew there were loads of brilliant people out there and lots of people coming into the industry. And I've always been passionate about new talent, retaining talent, giving people the opportunity to feel like they can develop and grow. And that's definitely what's happening here, and it's fantastic. Everybody who's listening and all of the panelists, ideas on a postcard. We have a very small team at Agents Together. We are working tirelessly to promote the work that is being done. We use social media a lot. If you're not following us on any of our social media channels, please do so. We have a newsletter, but if you have any ideas of how we can reach further, then please do just let us know, because we're trying our best, but you know, it's a charity and limited resources and all that. We can only go so far. This is why everybody is so important to be involved. I'm going to come, we're sort of coming to the end now. In fact, we've probably gone past the end, but hey, never mind. There's been such valuable stuff on there, but I want to ask a big question here. And we touched on it earlier. And I'm going to go round the room, if I may. What has this meant to you, being a mentor? So if we perhaps have anybody sitting on the fence in here thinking, well, I'm not sure I'm ready, or I'm not sure it's for me. How's it made you feel? How has it benefited you? I'd just love to hear that nice short soundbite if you can. And I'm going to go in reverse order this time. So I'm going to start with Murray.
Well, I think I've said it all already. The feeling you get back from the person that I'm mentoring is rewarding. There's no doubt about it. She said to me a couple of times, I don't think I could have got past, not today, but in a literal word today, if I hadn't have spoken to you and got some inside information. It's not also the right word, but maybe some more mentoring. I can't think of a better word for it, to move forward. She was a little bit at the doldrums early on because she'd taken a big step to what she was doing. And now I can even hear in her voice a different tone and the positivity. And she was a great pleasure to phone me and say, I've got my first instruction. And then the next time I've got my first sale agreed. And I got pleasure out of that for her as well. So maybe that's what I'm looking for. And that's what I've got from it.
Brilliant. Thanks, Murray. Mike?
Which Mike?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Mike Paul. Sorry, my apologies.
Me?
Yes, please, Mike Paul.
Immense satisfaction. Yeah,
Right.
really, that sums it up. I mean, I do mentoring in this and other things as well, but that is the end. That's the end result. The personal gain is immense, and the fact you've helped somebody along is, there's no better reward. You don't do this for money. We do this for personal satisfaction, and I'm at the age now where I do two things. You do something for money, or you do it for personal satisfaction, and this beats the monetary one without a doubt.
It's really interesting you should say that. I think there's a lot of people that would agree with that, Mike. Yeah. Stephen Hayter.
The feeling that I've helped. Simple as that.
Yeah, and isn't it a great feeling? It's a lovely feeling.
Yes. Yeah.
That was a good soundbite, Stephen. Thank you for that.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Wendy?
Yeah, huge satisfaction, but I have to say I've never been a mentor before. This is the first time I've ever done this, and as I say, I didn't think I would enjoy it as much, and it has given me not only satisfaction, but I've some great ideas for myself, and also some extra confidence that I don't know how that happened, but I feel much more confident in myself having done this. But anyone that's thinking about this, it's such a rewarding experience. It really is. It's just fantastic.
Brilliant. I would agree with you, because I'd never been a mentor before this either, and it definitely makes you feel confident. You almost got someone who depends on you a little, and that's really, that sense of I really take that very seriously, and then approach it in such a way as I agree with you. Really agree with you there, Wendy. Thank you for that. Margaret?
I think that, I think we're all probably very much on the same wavelength. I think that it can be hugely rewarding. It can be life-changing for the mentor and the mentee. Wendy touched on it as well, that actually it is also, you did actually, Sarah, it's also a huge responsibility as well. So I think when you decide to take this on, you have to realise that you do have to be very cautious about making sure that you do what you say you'll do. It is a huge responsibility, but along with that, it's hugely rewarding as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's nothing to be scared of, is it? That we have huge responsibility.
Not at all.
Every walk of our lives. It's an additional one, but the reward is just it's more than I think that could almost be put into words. And it's surprising. The feedback has been astonishing in that regard. Gareth?
Sorry, just one little quick thing. I think a lot of us will actually have been mentors for a long time, but we've never put a label on it.
Yeah.
So I think that we're now almost putting this label on it, but I think that we've probably done it naturally as leaders for a long time.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah.
I'll keep quiet now, Sarah.
Gareth?
I couldn't agree with Margaret more, actually. What this has probably helped me with is understanding the impact that I can actually have on people. And it's led me to mentor more people outside of not just work, but I think we've all been through the ups and downs of the last 12 months. And if there was ever going to be a time where people needed help or people needed just a shoulder to cry on or an arm around them, now is, or the last 12 months has been that time. And I've really found that it's been a really rewarding process, just kind of getting to know the people that I'm mentoring and just helping them. It's just nice to give something. It's a bit of a cliche, but it is nice to give something back. So yeah, if you're thinking of doing this, just go for it, both feet first. It's fantastic.
Brilliant. Thank you, Gareth. And last but not least, Mike Day.
Thank you. Obviously, everything that everybody said. One of my great inspirations is an American guy, no longer with us, Zig Ziglar. And Zig Ziglar said, you can have anything you want in life if you just help enough other people achieve what they want. And that, to me, sums it up. It was why I got involved. As various people have said, been doing mentoring in various capacities for some time. It's interesting, 4 of the founder members of Agents Together were effectively competitors. You know, Stephen Brown, Chris Watkins, Sarah, myself, we're all crossing over in the same sort of space, actually, in the industry. We now collaborate, we know each other better, we're friends, you know, and so on every level, I'm getting something out of this. And I'm putting back 45 years I've had in this industry, and it's been great. The next 45 are going to be even better.
Can I throw something back in here, actually? And it goes back to what I said earlier on. Where would you have got ever this to happen with 6, 8, 10? I know you're not all estate agents anymore, but predominantly that's where we've come from. Sitting in a room together, talking about something like this, unheard of beforehand. I'm not going to throw my hand up about it, but I think what I did early on in the Right Move campaign, a long story, etc., but it drew agents together in a way that I'd never seen before. I was getting emails from all over, and this has funneled that in a certain different direction, but a positive way as well. So if nothing else has come out of this, estate agents actually like each other, which is something you could have never said 3 or 4 years ago.
No, I'm with you.
Don't push it, Murray. Don't push it.
There's something very powerful about collaboration and a powerful voice. I mean, we only have to talk about the European Super League to know the power of the people, and I won't say
Yeah.
but you know, that's it. We have collaborated, you know, and I will be honest, I was nervous when, you know, but you know, imagine the scene: Michael Bruce, Kenny Bruce, Mike Day, Stephen Brown, Sam Jones, Chris Watkin, and we're all there, and we kind of knew each other, and some of us competed, and now, so Mike's right, this has become friendships, this has become collaborative working for the greater good of this industry, and I am, for one, incredibly proud of what's been achieved, but I can tell you this, none of it would have been possible without the people on this call and the other 100, and can't do my maths quick enough, 86 mentors that are out there month in, months out, quietly behind the scenes, getting on, helping their mentees. It's phenomenal. I just want to, before I close off, Michael O'Brien had said a question that has really helped him to ask his mentee is to visualize a point in the future where they are really happy and satisfied with their business and life. Yeah. And ask them to tell me what it looks like, what it feels like, and then that response is actually their end goal. That's brilliant. My mentor said that to me. Draw a picture of where you want to be in 5 years, and it's got to be so crazy that people laugh at you when you tell them. And I was like, all right. But it's a great way to think about, where do you want to go? If you really push yourself, where could you see yourself? So I think that's fantastic. Stuart Collar Brown has said he really misses his mentor in auctioneering, who sadly passed away back in 2016, who misses his senior figure in his life, who he could call on at any time. And as a new business owner, he's been struggling with keeping up with his own ideas of growth. So he feels he's spreading himself too thinly. So he loves the mentorship program that is here. So if that isn't a testament to what's great, then I don't know what is. Mike Poole, goodbye. Thank you so much. I know you've got another meeting. I know you've just dropped out there. Spencer Lawrence has just said, thank you all. You're inspiring and incredible. And it's incredible what collaboration can achieve. And also we've got Anthony Gibson here, who has also just said, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, belonging and esteem, validation is possibly at the heart of all we do. So there we have it. It's been an hour. I should have known it was 45 minutes or half an hour. hopefully there's been plenty of great ideas there. I've certainly taken some stuff away. I want to really, from the bottom of my heart, thank all of you, Murray, Stephen, Wendy, Margaret, Gareth, Mike, and Mike P, for joining and taking the time out of your day. Let's keep this movement going. I think we've got a phenomenal thing happening here, and it's only going to get better and better as time goes on. So thank you all. Any
Nice
questions?
to meet you all. Nice to meet you all
Yes,
as well.
nice to meet
And
you.
you too.
Lovely to meet you. Any questions, just email mentorships@agentstogether.co.uk or head over to the Agents Together website. There's lots of information on there as well.